Namaste. Welcome to all of you to this festival of storytelling on the occasion of World Storytelling Day 2021. I am Jyoti Yelagalawadi. Today you will hear stories from six of us, six storytellers from across America who have one common passion, and that is they love stories from India. They love all stories but have a deep passion for the stories that are traditional to India. And we are looking forward to tell you these stories. I hope you enjoy it too. Let's start off the storytelling festival with a story about Ganapati, the remover of all obstacles, according to Hinduism. Sandhya is going to tell us this wonderful story about his birth. Let's listen.
Hello everybody, my name is Sandhya Kasal and today I'm going to narrate a short story that suits very well to the theme, the beginnings. The story is about a ritual that we Hindus have been doing from many ages. It is done to make sure all the obstacles are destroyed and success is assured. We do it at the beginning of any new or significant work. For example, all the festival pujas or vratas that we do yearly, housewarming, marriages, and so on. Now I think you got a faint idea about what I'm talking about. You guessed it right. It is Ganesha Puja. Ganesha is also called as Vignaharaka. Vigna means obstacles and Haraka means one who removes. So Vignaharaka as a whole means one who removes the obstacles. So now you might be wondering, how did Ganesha get this importance or supremacy? So without any delay, let me get to that point. Ganesha is none other than the beloved son of Lord Shiva and goddess Parvati. It all started like this. One day, goddess Parvati was in her sanctum and she decided to take a bath. She applied turmeric paste onto her body before taking a bath. Once she was done applying, and after a while, when she decided to take a bath, she realized that there was no one in the sanctum to guard the sanctum so that no one enters it. She wasn't sure what to do at that point of time. But suddenly, she got a brilliant idea. She removed the turmeric paste from her body and with lot of care and affection, she made a doll. It's just like we do different structures from the Play-Doh. Similarly. So that doll resembled a small boy. Goddess Parvati used her powers and brought life to that doll. And magically, a boy was born. He is Lord Ganesha. You know what? Ganesha didn't have an elephant head at that point of time. So, Goddess Parvati requested Ganesha to go outside the sanctum and guard it so that no one enters it. As told by his mom, Ganesha went out to do the same. Here comes the interesting part. After a short while, Lord Shiva came towards the sanctum and was about to enter. Ganesha saw that and he stopped Lord Shiva and requested him to wait outside. Lord Shiva was surprised to see that boy, as he had never seen him before, but even more surprised at his strange request. Lord Shiva explained Ganesha that he was Goddess Parvati's husband and he is allowed to go in. But Ganesha didn't let him. Lord Shiva tried to explain in as many ways as he can, but nothing convinced Ganesha. This led Lord Shiva to be mad, and he had no other choice but to attack Ganesha. To his surprise, Ganesha was so capable that he could defend himself without harming himself or anyone. These attacks created so many thunderstorms everywhere. Goddess Parvati, who was inside taking bath, heard these sounds and was wondering what was happening outside. So she wanted to quickly finish her bath and come out to check it out. But by then, Lord Shiva's anger had grown so much that he had to use his ultimate weapon, Trishulam, to cut off Ganesha's head. Ganesha screamed out of pain, and that made Goddess Parvati came running out. Looking at the body of Ganesha with no head, lying dead, was a shock to her. She became so sad and was in so much pain. Looking at Goddess Parvati, Lord Shiva was surprised as to why she is sad and painful. When asked, Goddess Parvati explained to him how he had given life to Ganesha. Goddess Parvati's anger grew so intense that she pledged to destroy the universe if Ganesha doesn't come back to life. So Lord Shiva asked Nandi and his men to go look for any animal or human being lying in such a way that its head is facing north. Everybody went in search of such a animal, and finally they came across an elephant that was lying in the same fashion as Lord Shiva had mentioned. So they cut off the elephant's head and brought back to place it above the dead body's shoulders. Lord Shiva used his powers to fuse the two parts and gave life so that Ganesha came back to life. Ganesha now was revived, and he realized that Lord Shiva was his father. Looking at Ganesha come back to life, Goddess Parvati calmed herself down. Ganesha, with utmost affection and respect, bowed to his parents. So, that point of time, Lord Shiva blessed him, saying that he should be worshipped before any other deity for any pujas. So Ganesha is the only one who can remove the obstacles and make sure his devotees' work is successful. Now you all probably have known why Ganesha has been worshipped first. If you have understood and enjoyed it, please do explain the story to your friends and family. Thank you for listening.
That was a wonderful story, wasn't it? You know, whenever you have any problems in life, all you need to do is pray to Lord Ganapati, and he will make sure that all obstacles are removed from your path. Our next storyteller is Rohini. She is going to tell us a wonderful story, a story that I didn't even know before she told me. Let's listen to that.
Namaste everyone. Have you ever closely observed the archway behind the idol of a god or a goddess? Have you noticed at the top of the arch is a snarling face of a demon with bulging eyes, the tongue hanging out, the horns? Let me show what I'm talking about. Right here is the demon's face I was talking about. I also saw this at the entrance of a temple on the sides. I wondered, why would there be such a cruel face behind the idol of a god or a goddess? And then I came across this beautiful story. Long, long ago, there lived a Rakshasa. He decided to perform meditation. Om. With such focus and dedication did he do the meditation that Lord Brahma appeared before him within few days. He said, "Vatsa, what do you want?" "Lord Brahma, all that I ask you is for immense physical strength." "Tathastu," said Lord Brahma and blessed him. Inherent with such evil qualities, now there was an additional arrogance of immense physical strength. He went slaying human beings, gods, goddesses endlessly. He thought he was more powerful than the Trimurtis. Look at all that I have destroyed. Who calls Shiva the destroyer? I am the ultimate destroyer. I can protect anybody. I can construct anything that I foresee. Why would anybody call Vishnu or Lord Brahma the creators and protectors? I am the creator, the protector, and the destroyer. Thus, with a false notion of being stronger than the Trimurtis, he went killing everybody. The gods and the goddesses, not knowing what to do, went to Lord Shiva and asked him to save them. Lord Shiva immediately directed Agni, the Lord of Fire, and said, "Agni, I think it's time to stop all this. Go and take care of him." Lord Agni chased the Rakshasa. The Rakshasa ran the length and breadth of the universe, but Agni went everywhere. Having got tired, the Rakshasa fell at the feet of Lord Shiva and asked for his blessings and asked him to save him from Agni. The merciful Lord Shiva agreed and said, "There is only one place you can be safe," and placed him on the top of his head. Only when the Rakshasa was now relaxed to a certain extent, another worry struck him. This time it was the ghost of hunger. He couldn't withstand hunger. Once it got beyond his tolerance level, he asked Lord Shiva, "Lord Shiva, could you please give me something to eat? I don't think I am able to tolerate this." For which Lord Shiva said, "I have nothing to offer. You got to take care of your hunger." The Rakshasa couldn't get off because he knew Lord Agni wouldn't let him survive. So he thought and thought and thought and decided to eat himself. Such hugely built he was, he couldn't reach his body. Therefore, he transformed himself into a Makara. And then started eating himself. He almost ate all of his body, was only left with the upper body. And then he asked Lord Shiva again, as it didn't satisfy his hunger. "Lord Shiva, I'm still hungry. Can you please give me some food? Please don't punish me like this. I know I have committed a lot of crime, but please, I am repenting for what I have done. I'm sorry for my mistakes. Now please, I know you're so compassionate. Please give me something." For which Lord Shiva said, "Vatsa, I see your pain. I don't think I can give you enough food continuously. Your hunger seems to be endless. Vatsa, I understand that you've realized your mistakes. I see that you're seriously repenting for your mistakes. Therefore, I have a thought. I'm going to place you such that you will have continuous and endless supply of food. And thus Lord Shiva decided to place him at the arch of the Prabhavali. So whenever devotees enter a temple and bow down to the god or goddess, you from the top will eat away all their fears, all their negativity, all the arrogance, and all their weaknesses. And because I'm impressed by your obedience, I'm also going to give you the sacred place at the top of the idols of God and goddesses. Thus, the Rakshasa was extremely happy for having found the food, but also having acquired a very sacred place. There ends the legend. This legend, in my opinion, brings out two thoughts. One, that the nature of a Rakshasa is not about having bulging eyes or an protruding tongue or a horn, but it's about being obsessed about the physical aspects of one's body, or about the endless hunger, or about all the worldly desires that one owns. Secondly, whenever we bow down to the god or a goddess, or we enter a temple, it's time for us to let go of all the weakness and remember that the Makara Toranam, the Rakshasa at the top in the Makara Toranam, is eating away and removing all the negativities from us, and we make a new beginning from that point on. Thank you. Dhanyavada.
I had always wondered what that face was on that arch when I went to the temples. Wondered what that was about. And of course, there has to be a story for everything. What a wonderful story, isn't it? No matter how bad you are, no matter how evil you are, there is always a second chance. Nature, God, always gives you a second chance. There will always be a new beginning. There are many, many different types of stories in India. Most popular are the Puranic stories from the Puranas. We have folk tales from each and every state. And so many, many of them, not just from each and every state, but each and every tribe has folk stories. They have folk ballads. And then we have the age-old stories written by the wise, the Panchatantras, the Hitopadesha, the Jataka Kathas, and this whole huge ocean of stories that is called the Katha Sarita Sagara, where you have stories of horror, where you have stories about wonder, fantastical stories, and so many more. Unfortunately, we are only 6 of us, and we are going to tell only 6 stories. So we can't bring to you all these stories, but we shall try. Next, we're going to listen to a folk story from the state of Karnataka, which is in the southern part of India. Anand is going to tell us a story about a son-in-law who couldn't see in the night. He was night blind.
Hi friends, my name is Anand and I have 2 little friends with me today. Do you guys want to introduce yourself?
Sure.
What is your name?
My name is Sporty and I'm 8 years old.
Okay, how about you?
I'm Rohan and I'm 10 years old.
Okay, and Rohan is the one that's recording this story. So thank you for doing this. So
Welcome.
we're going to be narrating a story today because it's World Storytelling Day. So everybody listens to stories, everybody likes stories, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to listen to this wonderful story. It's from this book called The Folk Tales from India. It's an amazing book, and then the story's title is called The Night Blind Son-in-Law. Are you guys ready to listen to this story?
Yes.
So, night blindedness is a disease. Okay, so night blindedness makes people go blind when it is dark. But when it's daylight, then they can see things just like a normal person. So it's a scary disease, right? So in this story, we're going to meet this person. His name is Gundana, and then he is a lazy village guy, and then but he's also very smart. But he had night blindness too, and then he gets into a series of trouble, and then we're going to see what trouble he gets into. Okay, are you guys ready?
Yes.
All right. So Gundana lived with his mother in this village, and then he was almost 25 years old, and then his mother thought, I should get him married. And then she found a girl, and then they got married. And then the girl's family, they invited Gundana to come have dinner at their home. But then Gundana had not told them or that he had night blindness. So he had hidden that from him. So he thought, what will I do if they find out? And then he asked his mother, Amma, how will I hide my night blindness? What if they find out? I am very scared and worried. So his mother said, Gundana, listen to me. As you start walking, if it becomes dark, stay wherever you are, and then don't move from that place until it becomes morning again. Do you hear me? And then Gundana said, yes, mother, okay. And then he started walking to the girl's parents' house. It was 10 miles away. So he started walking, and then as he walked and walked, he almost came close to the girl's parents' village, but then it became dark. And what did his mother say when it became dark?
Just sit where you are and don't move.
Yeah, and then he sat in this place which turned out to be a garbage dump. It was smelly and yucky. Nobody likes garbage dump, right?
Not me.
So, but he had no other alternative because he was not able to see. So he sat in this garbage dump. And then it turns out the garbage dump was right behind the girl's parents' house. So when it becomes night, people dump their trash in the garbage dump, right? So the girl's parents' mother, she came and then dumped all the garbage in the garbage dump. And she did not know that there was somebody hiding there. Who was hiding in the garbage dump?
Gundana.
Gundana was hiding in the garbage dump. So what did he do? He became all mad and he started jumping. Yeah, garbage! Don't do this! And then the girl's mother, she got super scared. Oh my God! I didn't expect this. And then she ran away. And then when she went home, she told the girl, hey, I saw your husband in the garbage dump. I don't know what he is doing, but I made a big mistake. I threw garbage on him. Now I am so scared to meet him. Can you please go get him? And then the girl said, okay, Amma. And then she started walking. And then there was a cow in their house. So she started walking with a cow to go get Gundana back home. And then when she met Gundana at the garbage dump, she asked him, what are you doing here? And then Gundana was very smart. And then he did not want her to know that he was night blinded, right? So what did he say? He said, ha ha, what beautiful garbage you have. Imagine how much compost you can make from this garbage. And then the compost could all feed my plants. So I was just sitting here thinking, how much compost can this garbage make? And then your mother came. Are you ready to go back home? Let's go home, he said. Okay, so the girl said, all right, hold my hand, let's go home. And then because he was night blinded, he did not know that he was holding the cow's tail instead of her hand. And then he was holding the cow's tail, and then they started walking towards home. And then they walked and walked, and then eventually they reached home. So near the door, the front door, there was a goat in the girl's house. The goat had all decorated with bangles and rings and chains. So the goat, when it walked or jumped, it made this metal sound, right? So how does the metal sound?
Like cling cling.
Cling cling, or ting ting, like that, right?
Ding ding.
Yeah.
Something like a bellish sound.
Yeah, something like a belly. It also had a beautiful bell in its neck. So, what did Gundana do? He went and bumped into the goat. The goat became mad, and then the goat then started like bumped into Gundana too, like really hard, like with its head. And then what happened to Gundana? He fell on the floor. And then the girl said, "Oh my God, are you blind or what? You cannot see that big goat?" And then Gundana, because he was blind, he obviously did not see the goat. But he did not want to tell her that he was blind, right? So what did he do? He said, "Ha! Look at this goat. This has such bad manners. He does not even know that it should not hurt guests. Oh my God, I don't like this goat." And then he went home. And soon they were all having dinner. So they were having dinner, and then who was serving Gundana? Because Gundana was a guest, right? So the girl's mother was serving all the beautiful dishes to Gundana. And then turns out girl's mother was also wearing lot of jewelry. And then jewelry made the same sound of clinking noise as the goat did. So Gundana, because he was blind, he did not know. He thought, "Oh my God, the goat is also here. I should protect myself." And then what did he do? He took the spoon that he had, and then he threw the spoon
At the
thinking
mother.
it was the goat. And then it went straight and hit the girl's mother. So the girl's mother became super mad, but she was also thinking, "Oh my God, I think because I threw garbage on him, he must be upset." And then she went back into the kitchen, and the girl and others helped Gundana finish his dinner, and then soon they were all asleep. So Gundana was sleeping with the girl in their bedroom, and then in the middle of the night, he wanted to go to the bathroom. So the girl dropped him to the bathroom and said, "Oh, don't forget the way. So come back to the bathroom after you finish it." And then Gundana went to the bathroom, and then when he came out of the door, because he was blind, he did not know where his room was. Poor guy. So what did he do? So he took the wall, he touched the wall, and he started feeling the wall. And then he found a corner, and then he thought, "Oh, maybe this is my room." And then he straight went into the room. And then he found somebody sleeping on the bed. He thought it must be his wife. And then when he went to sleep, he touched his wife's leg. Then who woke up when he touched the wife? It was not his wife at all. It was the wife's mother. So the wife's mother started screaming, "Oh, Gundana, why are you here? You should be in your bedroom. At this time of the night, what happened?" And then Gundana was a smart guy. Even though he was embarrassed, he thought, "Oh, I should not tell anybody what happened. Maybe I came to the wrong room. So I will pretend as if I know what I am doing." So he started holding his mother-in-law's legs, and then he started crying, "Oh, mother-in-law, please pardon me. I should never have thrown the spoon to your legs. I am not going to leave your legs until you say, 'I pardon you.'" And then his mother-in-law did not know what to do. She said, "Oh, what is this? Let's talk in the morning. Please leave my leg. Please leave my leg." And then what happened? Everybody woke up. And then his wife woke up too. And then his wife came to see what is all this noise. And then she found Gundana holding his mother-in-law's leg. And then finally his wife removed Gundana and then said, "Come on, let's go back to sleep. We'll talk about this in the morning." And then what do you think? How do you think Gundana was feeling? He was feeling very happy. "Ha ha, finally I'm saved. Now my wife will take me back to the bedroom. I don't have to find my own way." And so They went back to sleep, and the first thing in the morning, what did Gundana do?
He left.
He said, he pretended that he was very busy, and he said, I got a lot of work to do in my house. I need to go now. Goodbye. Thank you for the beautiful dinner. Bye, everybody. And then he thanked himself, and then he left the village, and they never came back to the village.
But did he ever meet his wife again?
Yeah, his wife came back to his house to live with him.
Okay.
But then this is how Gundana used his smartness to rescue himself.
Listening to stories on a cloudy day means hot chocolate. And yes, I have my hot chocolate. Sri Krishna, Bhagwan Krishna, he has captured the imaginations of all in one way or the other. Some of us see him as a little boy. Some of us see him as divine love, while others see him as an ace strategist. We remember him blowing his conch, the Panchajanya, blowing it loud, notifying all that it was time to fight the war of righteousness. Where did that conch come from? That's the next story. Sripriya, she has told the story in a very different way.
It was a beautiful day in Madura. The vast land stretched out for miles. It seemed like there was no end to it. There was not a cloud in sight, and the sun shined brightly. In Madura, the people continued doing daily responsibilities. Everything seemed normal, but was it really?
Balarama, are you ready? We are leaving for Guru Sandipani's ashramam now.
Before leaving, Balarama and Krishna took the blessings of their parents and left for Sandipani's ashram. After killing King Kamsa in Madura, the throne was vacant. The heir of the kingdom was Krishna, Vasudeva and Devaki's son. Krishna and his brother Balarama hadn't received formal education, so in order to make sure they received proper training, they were sent to Guru Sandipani's ashram. While at the ashrama, Krishna and Balarama started their education, but meanwhile, Lord Krishna observed something strange.
Brother, there is something wrong with Guru Sandipani and Guru Mata. What do you mean, Krishna? Is everything alright? What happened to them? I feel that they are overwhelmingly sad sometimes. Sad? How can you tell? They seem to be fine, Krishna. Don't worry.
Krishna, not knowing what to say, sat quietly and observed his guru.
Sometime later.
At Guru Sandipani's ashrama, Krishna and Balarama completed their education, and it was time for them to part ways.
Guru Sandipani said, Today, we are finally done with your education with me. I am proud to be your teacher. My blessings will always be there with you. But Krishna said, Guru Sandipani, without you, we wouldn't have been able to learn anything. We would like to give you Guru Dakshina. Please tell us, what would it be? It will be our great fortune to serve that to you. I am honored to be your teacher. I don't want anything else from you. But if you don't mind me asking this question, Guruji, I have noticed for a long time that you and Guru Mata seem sad and worried. Could I be of any help to you?
Guru Mata burst into tears. Once she calmed down, she explained to them.
Our son was kidnapped by the Panchajanya tribe while he was taking a stroll near the seashore of Prabhasatirtha. We haven't had any success in finding him. He hasn't come back. That's the sorrow that you sense in us. Could you please help us find him? This is the greatest Guru Dakshina that you could ever offer.
Agreeing to this, both Krishna and Balarama set off on their journey, trying to look for their Guru and Guru Mata's only son. They started finding information from the nearby villages and people about what happened. Krishna and Balarama found out that the chief of the Panchajanya tribe was someone named Shakasura, who lived under a cave inside the ocean. Shakasura would occasionally come and trouble the people who lived on the land and capture some of them to work for him as servants. Using this information, Krishna and Balarama went to the Prabhasatirtha and dove into the water.
Look, Balarama, I see Shakasura there. Saying that, they slowly followed him into the cave. Krishna, do you see? There are children around Shakasura, and so is our Guru's son. Let us talk to him and see what is he up to. Oh! I see that now I have 2 more servants, and I didn't even have to look anywhere, said Shakasura arrogantly. Come on, Shakasura, it's time you stop your atrocities. Give us the children back. Release them from your slavery. No! You seem to be very arrogant. Who are you to demand me? For this action of yours, I'm going to put you in the dungeon.
Krishna and Balarama realized that the only way they could get back their Guru's son was to fight Shakasura. The battle began fiercely, and the 2 boys easily overpowered Shakasura. Krishna threatened to slay him with the Sudarshana Chakra if he didn't agree. Shakasura surrendered at the right moment and bowed before Krishna.
I'm sorry, my lord. I promise I will never commit such actions again. Please take the children with you, and please accept my conch as gift. From now on, this conch will be called the Panchajanya in honor of your tribe. Blowing this conch will remind everyone and signal the establishment of Dharma at all times.
Once Krishna and Balarama freed the children, they took the Guru's son and presented him to the Guru and Guru Mata.
Guru Sandipani said, "Thank you for bringing my son, and from now on, let the world know me as Lord's teacher."
And just like that, Guru Sandipani and Guru Mata reunited with their son, feeling relieved, and parted ways with Balarama and Krishna.
Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum.
The next story is about Garuda. Garuda, the mount of Sri Vishnu. Vishnu is one of the Trinity. Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva make up the Holy Trinity in Hinduism. How did Garuda come to be? Whose child is he? Let's listen to the story from Sneha.
Hello, all. I am here to tell you the story of how Garuda became the mount of Lord Vishnu. I have always loved this story because I've always loved Garuda as a character. In our Puranas, I've always felt I had so much that I learned from his bravery, his humbleness. So I immediately thought of this story when Jyoti talked about doing this event for World Story Day and her theme of beginnings. So I thought of the story because it's the beginning of many stories that come later on in our itihasas of Garuda and Lord Vishnu. So I thought of the story. So here goes. So one day, Sage Kashyapa, who was the father of all the devas and all the animals on earth, long time ago, came out of his deep meditation. His wives, Vinata and Gadru, had been wanting to have children for a very long time, and he finally decided to grant them their wish. So he went to them and said, "Dear wives, I want to give you what you want. I want to give you children. So ask for any kind of children you want, and I will grant you your wish." So Gadru immediately says, "I want 1,000 strong, loyal snakes as my children." And Sage Kashyapa goes, "Tatahastu." And so be it. So she then lays 1,000 eggs for snakes. And these eggs go into her warm pots to incubate. Then Vinata thinks about it and she goes, I want 2 sons who will be stronger than all of Gadru's children. And Sage Kashyapa says, okay, but you're going to only have 1.5. Vinata doesn't understand at the time, but she says she accepts it. And so soon enough, she lays 2 big eggs, and those 2 eggs go into incubation as well. Now, it's, many hundreds of years pass. These are amazing children. So, and these eggs are in incubation. And finally, Gadru's eggs all hatch and all the snakes come out. And now Vinata is very jealous of Gadru. And so she is, but she still is patient for a little bit longer, for another 100 years. But she's waiting and waiting. And finally, she loses patience and says, maybe my children need a little help coming out of their eggs. So she breaks one of the eggs open. And the child who comes out is half formed, and he's very angry with his mother, and he curses her that because you opened me too soon, I'm half formed. So I curse you that you will live a life of servitude. But if you're patient with your next child, he will release you from your bondage. And then he flies away and becomes the steed, the charioteer of Suryadev. Now, Vinata is very sad to not only lose her son, but now also be cursed. And she lives like this for another, half a century. And now Gadru is, really getting on her nerves. they're really fighting all the time, and Sage Kashyapa is nowhere to be seen. He's been meditating for a long, long time. So the two wives, who are also sisters, are fighting, but they're also trying to live together, share their environment. So one day they're kind of like, bickering and nitpicking, and Vinata goes, "Let's play a game of dice. And whoever wins has to be the servant in servitude to the other sister for forever." So Kadru goes, "I won't lose." So she agrees. But in the night, before the game, she orders her snakes to go and weigh the dice, and so to make sure that she wins. The snakes at first say, "No, we can't do that. We don't want to cheat." And then she threatens them, "If you don't do it, I will curse you to die by fire." So they said, "Oh, we better do what mother says." So they go and weight the dice. So the next day, when Vinatha and Kadru are playing the game, Kadru wins, and Vinatha becomes Kadru's slave. Now, Kadru orders her around all the time, tells her to carry her to the, great island of pleasure in the middle of the great ocean, clean her house, comb her hair, even small little things. She orders Vinatha all the time. And Vinatha is very unhappy. But finally, her second egg opens and Garuda comes out. So now Garuda has come out, and he says to Vinatha, "Mother, why are you living in servitude like this?" And she explains to Garuda how she lost the bet with Kadru. And he goes to the snakes and says, "Oh, brothers, what can I do to win the freedom of my mother?" And they say, "If you go to the Devas and get us Amrit, we will free you and your mother." So he accepts the challenge, and he flies up. And on his way, he hears a voice, and it's his father on top of a mountain, and he calls him down. And Garuda says, and his father asks him, "How are you?" And he explains what has happened with his mother. And Sage Kashyapa says, "Well, if you eat this, there's a giant tortoise and a giant elephant fighting by the lake. If you go eat them, then you will have the strength to defeat the Devas." So he flies down and finds this elephant and tortoise fighting, and he grabs them by his giant claws, because he has the ability to change his shape at will from little tiny to giant. And so he becomes really large and grabs the giant tortoise and the giant elephant and starts flying. But he can't find a spot now to sit and eat. So he flies and flies, and finally he sees a beautiful giant banyan tree where he can go and sit on the branch. And he sits down, but he sees, as soon as he sits down, the bough breaks, and he sees that on this branch were the sages who were actually meditating on the branch. So he, with his quick reflexes, saves the branch from falling to the ground and hurting the rishis. And he finally flies, and he flies with the branch all the way to the Himalayas. And he places the rishis down gently, and they go and continue their meditation in the Himalayas. And he finally sits on top of the Himalayas and consumes his meal and becomes extremely strong and continues on to the Deva's abode. Once he's at the Deva's abode, Indra, now not knowing what to do, because obviously Garuda is very strong, he tells all the Devas to fight against him and not let him have the Amrit. and they all fight him with every weapon they have, and he just destroys them. And now he's at the pot of the Amrit, which is being protected by this giant, serrated wheel. And he shrinks really, really tiny and goes under the wheel. And there, when he's under the wheel, he sees two snakes who are protecting the Amrit. And he gets the dust all in their eyes, and then he kills them. And finally he makes it to the center of the wheel where the Amrit is. And there he uses his ability to expand and contract at will, and expands his body really fast and breaks the wheel and takes the Amrit. Now, and then he leaves the abode of the Devas and he starts flying down. But he doesn't use any of the Amrit for himself. He only has one thought: to go and take the Amrit to the snakes so that he can free his mother. So when he finally gets down to so as he's flying down, Lord Vishnu sees him, and Lord Vishnu thinks, oh, this Garuda, he's wonderful. He only thinks of his mom. He's loyal, and he's also humble, and he's brave. So he appears in front of Garuda and says, Garuda, I will give you any boon you want. Ask anything. So Garuda says, I want the boon of always being near you, but on top of you. So Vishnu grants him this boon, and he now stands on top of his staff, Vishnu's staff. Then Garuda says, oh Lord Vishnu, I want to grant you a boon. And Vishnu says, okay, I wish that you were my mount. And so Garuda agrees to be Vishnu's mount. But he says, I will be your mount once I get this Amrit to the snakes and free my mother. Now he starts flying down again, down to earth where the snakes are, and Indra sees him, and he tries to defeat him one more time, and he cannot. And then Indra says, well, if I can't defeat him, I'll make friends with him. So he goes to Garuda and says, oh Garuda, I want to be your friend, but don't take this Amrit to the snakes. They will not use it in the way that is right. So Garuda says, I don't really care about the Amrit. I just need to free my mother. So I can tell you where I accept your friendship, and I can tell you where I will leave the Amrit. And once I give it to snakes, and I'll tell you how to take it back. So he gets down to the snakes, and the snakes just said, oh, give us the Amrit now. We want it now. And Garuda says, here's the Amrit, but before consuming it, you should purify yourself in the holy river. So they agree, and he leaves the pot of Amrit there, and the snakes go off into and do their purification rituals, take a bath in the river, all that. And then the Amrit, then Indra comes and takes the Amrit, and that's the story of how Garuda became Lord Vishnu's mount.
So today I am going to tell you a story, a folk story from the east of India. This story is sung as a folk ballad. So once upon a time, there was a girl. She lived with her 7 brothers, and she loved the sun. As she grew older, she said she wanted to marry the sun. Surya, the sun, always shining with joy, was very happy to have such a wonderful wife who loved him so. And he said, sure, I'd love to marry you too. But there is one problem. I am a strict vegetarian, and you would have to be a vegetarian too. She said, okay, that's okay. I anyway don't really like all the things that they eat. I really don't. I like to eat simple food, and I will learn how to cook whatever you like anyway. So I'm going to come. The sun drops down a ladder from the skies and she starts climbing it. It's not very far, it's very close by, just there. She climbs up and then the ladder is pulled up. So then she's up in the skies with the sun, having a wonderful time. She walks about in the skies with beautiful gardens and lovely birds just flying around and lovely music. She is enjoying herself. On one of her strolls, she just looks down at her mother's home and she sees that they are all celebrating. Her mother looks around and says, "Oh, I wish our daughter was here. She would have enjoyed this so much." So there was some party going on and she felt like going there. She runs up to her husband and says, "Oh husband, I want to go home. I want to go and visit my parents and my brothers. Can I do so?" Surya says, "Sure, I can't say no. They're after all your parents. But remember, don't eat meat." She says, "Oh sure, of course." And he lets the ladder down, and as she's climbing, he tells her, "Remember, dear, I love you, but there is one thing I cannot tolerate, and that is lies. So remember, do not cheat, do not lie to me. If you do, this ladder will no longer remain." She says, "Okay," and she climbs down, and she gets down to where her parents and her brothers are celebrating. They look at her and say, "Wow, our sister is back from the skies. Let us celebrate. Let's have some food." And they have a whole lot of different types of meats ready to celebrate because that's what they eat. And she says, "No, I can't eat this. My husband will know. I have promised him." They ask her, "So how is your husband? Does he treat you well?" She says, "He's the best. He's given me a wonderful, wonderful life. I have nothing to ask for. So he's just the best son-in-law you could have found." They're also very happy. Then they say, "Okay, you know what? You're worried that he will see you, right? So how about this? We will make a big tent and you can sit inside the tent and eat. He can't see you then." She says, "Oh no, he can see. He is the sun." So then they say, "Okay, we will cover that tent with another tent." She says, "No, that's not possible. Don't force me to eat what I shouldn't. It is against my beliefs. Let me believe in what I believe." They make fun of her and say, "Come on, why are you so worried? Eat it once and then go back to your usual life." They make one tent. They cover that with another tent. She says no. Then they cover it with a third tent, and a fourth, and a fifth, and a sixth, and a seventh tent. And then they tell her, "Sister, how can he see what you are eating here?" After being forced so much, she goes into that first tent, and there also she covers herself with a cloth, and the food is there, and she eats. And as she eats the first morsel of meat and swallows it, she gains a little more confidence that nothing will happen because she doesn't see anything outside. She eats again and finishes the plate, and then washes her hands and says thank you to her mother and her brothers and walks out of the tent. And as she walks, she looks up at the skies and then at the ladder, and she sees the ladder slowly just going higher and higher. She runs towards the ladder. She knows, oh God, I have told a lie. I have cheated. The ladder is going to run. I'm so sorry, so sorry. She rushes. But by the time she reaches the ladder is all gone up and she cannot reach it anymore. And there, she has no path to go to her son. Now she starts walking. Her brothers say, wait, don't worry, that's okay. She says, you don't know. My life is there. I love that life. That's the life I want to live. I don't want to live with you all. You all who force me to do what I don't believe in. You who forced me to lie. You who forced me to cheat. I don't want to live with you guys. You are bullies. I want to go back to what I believe in. And she walks. She walks far over hills and dales, high mountains, snow-capped mountains, and then goes down over rivers. She swims through the rivers, and then more mountains, and higher and higher and higher and higher and higher she goes, where the clouds touch the mountains. She's tired. She's very tired. She's weeping, and she sees a sudden bright light. She sees Surya, she says, and the sun shines. And he puts his hand out and he says, you really do love me, and I love you. Can't live without you. Come back. You will never be hurt by them again. And I shall always take care of you. He puts his hand around her and takes her back. And she lives happily for the rest of her life with her husband and her family. She had a new beginning in her life where she lived without the fear of being made to do what she doesn't want to do. She lived with the light of the world. She made hope shine throughout the world. And that is the end of the story. Namaste. Thank you to all our storytellers, Anand, Sandhya, Sneha, Sripriya, and Rohini. Those were wonderful stories. Thank you very much. Thank you all for listening, and happy Storytelling Day to all of you.